Hello and welcome to the very first episode of the True North Show, a show where we dive into the pivotal moments that ignite our guests' passion, uncover the stories behind their purpose, and reveal the real-life strategies they use to stay balanced and prioritize mental well-being. Get ready for inspiring conversations that light the way to living with intention, resilience, while following your true north. For those of you who don't know me, I'm your host, Megan North, and I would like to thank our sponsors of the show, Quantum Awakening, Beth Lewis, Anne C. Clark, and our lovely guest who paid to be featured on this episode. Now, talking about our lovely guest, for our first episode, we're joined by Rosemary Gattuso, who is no stranger to appearing on shows with me. Rosemary is a specialist in family mediation and restorative justice, focusing on respect and children's well-being during separations. She serves on restorative justice panels and advocates for a trauma-informed, strengths-based approach. Rosemary has a background in law, couples and family therapy, and family dispute resolution, with advanced studies from Harvard University. Rosemary leads workshops on trauma-informed living and strength-based practices. Her book, It's Not You, It's Me, A Chronic Overthinker's Guide to Self-Reflection, reflects her journey from chronic overthinker to reflective practitioner, aiming to inspire positive change in individuals and communities. So welcome to the show, Rosemary. Thank you so much for joining me again today.
Thanks, Megan. It's just wonderful to be here and be part of your first show. I'm so excited about today.
Thank you. So let's dive in. So, Rosemary, what was the defining moment that led you to pursue your true passion and purpose?
Well, this is an interesting question because it's really a series of pursuing what I thought I wanted and where I thought I needed to be and realizing that it wasn't.
Right.
And so one of the pivotal moments that really then led me on this path was really when I was at the very end of my studies and I studied law, and there was a compulsory mediation section that everyone had to do, and everyone hated it except for me. And I thought, this is where I need to be. And it was one of those moments where I realized that, you know, it doesn't matter about the circumstances, it's the feeling that we have, because I was pursuing something that it made me focus on me not being good enough and that I had to do better and that it was a challenge, and not in a way that, you know, you can learn something and get better at it, but it was just, it didn't suit my personality and my characteristics and my natural way of being, whereas mediation did. And so then that kickstarted a series of events that, you know, over almost 20 years, you know, of me pursuing mediation, alternative dispute resolution, and then looking at being trauma informed and basically out of my own curiosity around human behavior, around what I was seeing in mediation rooms, the way that people managed adversity, the differences that I saw, and the way we put meaning to our experience. So then that led me down, you know, kind of the therapeutic path and exploring, you know, that area, which really got me here today.
Wow. And do you think then that there's in law, and I'm really generalizing here, but do you think that there's kind of two types of people, in the sense of people who love the books and the black and white and these are the rules, and then the people like you who like that but then miss the one-on-one and the connection with people?
I think there is, but it's also about tradition and what we're used to, because we're used to an adversarial approach where it's us versus them, and you have to win and someone's always wrong.
Yes.
So it's also a shift in that mindset.
Yes, yes. And I could imagine then when you would, you know, particularly because you work with the children that are part of parents that are divorcing, for kids, it's not about who's wrong or right or who's going to win. It's like, what is the best outcome for them?
Yes. And actually, I never meet with the parents. sorry, I never meet with the children. I only meet with the parents, but work with the parents as if the children are in the room, and really bring them into the room, and whether or not that's through sort of reflective activities with the parents, talking about what the children's needs are. It's a child's needs exercise. What does this individual child need, as opposed to the others, in the classroom, or even as opposed to the siblings? And then how can both parents then work together to support that in very child-centered and child-focused, but not only child-focused, but on that individual child, because you'll have children who are more sensitive than others in the same family, and then will need a slightly different approach.
And do you think that that's the type of person that you've always been? Like, when you think back about when you were a child or a teenager growing up, was fairness something that was really important to you?
Yes, it's really the only thing that irks me when there is injustice, and not just injustice, but something quite serious. Like, I can live with not having the same amount of fries on my plate, but it's quite, I don't know, I guess it's when it's something that goes towards my fundamental values, when there's injustice in that area, that's where it really irks me. Like, I can let a lot of things sort of slide, and have generally a calm sort of personality and way of responding in general. But this idea of, unfairness, and I mean, as a side note, and I don't know, I am also Libran, and, my star sign is, the balance, or I'm thinking in Italian now, and I can't remember what's called in English. The scales. Oh my gosh. Correct. The scales. So I don't know, maybe it's also just part of me, but I can take some sort of injustice, but when it's severe and fundamental, it's not on, and that's something that's always been a part of me.
Yeah. And when you talked about your values, are your values something that really help you to make decisions in life? Are they sort of at the top and forefront of, am I going to make this decision this way or that way? Do your values come into that?
I think they definitely do. And, I guess it also depends on the situation and whatever the decision is. But, I will prioritize what's important and of great value to me, and probably spend more time with it there. So, and because it has more meaning. Regardless of what the decision is, or if it's important, it's something that's really important to me, then that's where I put my time and effort.
Yeah. I find that my values are kind of the last tick in the box. My intuition will tell me immediately, but then when I then stack it up to, does this fit with my values, my core values of me personally, but then also in my business, it's a really easy decision to make. Because if it's intuition says yes, but not necessarily with the core values, then I'll be like, okay, I'm not going to make that decision. But I mean, usually my intuition is telling me yes, and then it'll align with my core values.
That's a great one, because intuition is so important and so valuable when we're in the right space to call on it. Yes. Because I will often get my own judgment on a situation and how things should or could be done, mixed up for intuition.
That's interesting.
So that's where, one of the things that I do is I look at, well, is this a judgment? And normally it's a negative judgment. So a negative judgment about something to then instigate me doing something or not doing something, which I might umbrella as intuition. But it might be, if I don't do X, then Y will happen. So it's very logical and has a sort of a sequence of events will happen. For me, that's a clue that it's not actually my intuition. It's my fear disguised as intuition, my judgment disguised as intuition. Because intuition is not logical.
No.
So if there is a bit of logic to it, then maybe, I mean, it's not the end rule. It's not, but it's a guide for me.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's very rare that your intuition is wrong.
Yes.
You know.
We just have to listen for it. Sometimes we don't listen to it. Yeah. And that's the time when we learn how to listen to our intuition, when we don't listen to it and we think, oh gosh, there was something inside me coming up about this, but I didn't listen.
Yeah. Or it just didn't feel right, or something was just a bit off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's where we get the clues as to what intuition feels like for us when we miss it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I love that. So as you're pursuing your passion and your purpose, and you're continually growing and developing, because I know you a little bit more, so I know that you're always wanting to be a better version of yourself. How do you maintain balance and prioritize your mental well-being in the midst of pursuing your dreams?
Well, this is really about being aware of the clues or the hints that our body gives us. Because when we're in balance, we feel fine. We can manage, we can juggle, or we might get a little bit stressed, which is normal, but it won't overtake us, and we won't feel that overwhelm and that helplessness and despair or resentment, anger. All those things can come to the surface. So then for me, the guide is when I am feeling overwhelmed, when I am feeling despair, when I am even have muscle soreness, all those signs for me are that I'm not in balance. And for me to continue to do what I want to do, then I need to get in balance. Or it could also be that I'm doing too much. To maybe take a little bit of a step back and delegate or outsource whatever I can as well. But it's just about looking for the clues. And anything that feels heavy is a clue.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and sometimes I can be quite good at having a routine of kind of self-care and balance, and just have those appointments slotted in, whether or not it's a physical appointment where I go somewhere for, you know, a massage or acupuncture or whatever it is, or just mentally slot out the time to go to Pilates, or to go for a walk, or to go out with my friends, or to just have a night at home.
Yeah.
So whether or not, you know, I can often get good at that, but I'm also good at getting out of that routine, getting into it and then getting out of it.
Yeah.
And then sometimes it's not sustainable to do everything at once. So it's also about prioritizing the commitments and the self-care.
Yeah. And I also think too is that, you know, as you said, like sometimes you've got lots of things booked in, but then you either get out of routine or other things take priority. I think at that moment as well is that even if we take 5 minutes and do some breathing, or we walk outside in the fresh air and we come back in, I think that we always need to remember that it's even just those micro moments that can actually be self-care. Because I think when we're overwhelmed and we're thinking, oh my gosh, I really need to get this, this, and this done. Okay, I'm not going to do that today, or I'm not going to do my Pilates class. It doesn't mean that the whole day is wasted. It just means that, okay, well, where can I get a 5-minute meditation in, or a quick walk around the block? And I think that we forget that. So it's either all or nothing, but actually it doesn't need to be there.
Yeah, that's such a great point, because sometimes for me, when I get out of routine, it means that I've got a lot on my plate, and even making the time to go to have a massage is like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. It's a whole hour. Plus I have to get there and then get, you know, and all going through that. Then that's also a sign that, well, it's supposed to help, but it's not helping at the moment. So what could help? What could help is having the afternoon free, you know. And as you said, going for a walk around the block, you know, exploring. Where I live at the moment in Sydney, there's lots of really nice bakeries and cafes within walking distance. And so it's a little bit of an adventure, even just to do like walk in one direction for 8 minutes and then come back.
Yeah.
You know, and discover, oh, there's a new a new coffee place there. Okay, I can go there. Or they also sell bread. Okay, when I run out of bread, I'll walk there, and then I'm getting nutrition and I'm getting exercise. It's, sort of killing two birds with one stone, but I feel good.
Yeah, yeah. And I think we need to remember that, because I think it's then those little micro moments then actually can just help through your day when you actually don't have the time to do the bigger things. It's almost like finding, on a range of time from an hour to half an hour to 15 minutes to 10 to 5 minutes, it's almost getting a whole heap of those in your toolkit, so that when you can't do the hour, do I have half an hour? Well, no, but I've got 15 minutes. Okay, what's in my little 15-minute bucket that I can do?
That's right. And I guess for me, I really like writing to-do lists. And this is something that's really important and helpful for me. But I realized that it wasn't necessarily about the list, but how it made me feel.
Yeah.
Because it helped me to believe in myself, because I can write down a list and get things done and I feel accomplished. And see, even that for me is an interaction that I'm having with myself that gives me evidence of my worth.
Yeah.
And even if I don't get everything done on the list, I'll just put it on the list for tomorrow.
Yeah.
And that has been sort of part of my sort of routine. Each night, write a list for the next day so that I know, tick off what I did, put what I haven't done on the list for tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think that most people, I think, need to be a little bit organized when they're following their passion, their purpose, making, if you're running your own business, you're doing what you're loving, but then also if you're making sure that your mental health and your well-being is being looked after, I think some type of list or some type of guidance you almost need. Otherwise, you'll just be in that total panic, I think.
And I think what I find also is that time goes really quickly. So I start something and then a week passes and then another week passes, and before I know it, a month has passed and I haven't finished that one task. So that's where, the to-do list or any sort of method that works. I've learned how to schedule emails to myself. Or how to schedule emails generally. And so I send myself an email on a certain date to remind me that I have to do something today. So I'll get that. And that's been quite helpful. And even if it's to follow up someone, then I'll put a summary in the email of what I've done.
Yeah.
And then so, when I have to do the follow-up in 2 weeks' time or whatever the time frame is, I've got the summary in front of me. Plus I got the reminder because I check my email all the time.
Yeah.
So I'll see it and I'll act on it.
That's a great idea, because I'll often have things like I'll often email myself to say I need to do this, this, and this, and I'll do them individual emails. But I do them at that time, but I know I don't need to do it for a couple of weeks. So it constantly sits in my inbox. I leave it as unread, so it's, flashing at me. But that's a great idea. I think I might try that because looking at it, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I haven't done that yet. Oh no, it's okay. I don't need to do it yet.
Yeah.
That's a great tip. Oh, great. Excellent.
It's actually changed a lot of the way that I work just using this. And I've used Gmail using this tool to either send myself emails in the future, or even other people who I'm, trying to collaborate with or working with in some way, who have said, well, can you get back to me in July? And I'm like, well, I'm not going to remember. So I've just got that email waiting for July and it'll get sent out to her straight away and she'll get it, or a reminder for me to then follow it up. But it's been really good. I send one email and then I can automatically have the follow-up to that email ready to go in 2 weeks. I just have to remember if I've heard from them and I don't need to follow it up or whatever. But you just make up a system that works.
Yeah, that's fantastic. That's a great tip. Amazing. All right. Well, on that note, we're going to hear from our sponsors. So we'll be back in a couple of minutes. And then we're going to explore more about you, and we're going to specifically talk about a significant challenge that you've faced and how you've overcome it and how you've stayed aligned. So stay with us and we'll be back in a couple of minutes. Welcome back, everybody. I've just put the QR code up there to Rosemary's website if you want to learn more about Rosemary and the work that she does. So, Rosemary, can you share a significant challenge that you faced and how you overcame it, and how you overcame it to stay aligned with your purpose?
And I think there's probably quite a few points that a few examples that I could give. And I'll give you the theme. The theme is me pursuing the wrong path and then being pushed onto the right path. And so for many years, I worked in the public sector, and it was in alternative dispute resolution. So it was still sort of in my realm, complaints management, mediation. And I was constantly trying to get a promotion. You know, I wanted to go up the ladder, as you know. That's I guess what you do in work, whether or not it's corporate or public sector. You want to improve and go further. And I found, particularly in the public sector, there was a strong just way of being that's what you did. You wanted to get up to the next stage. And I guess I kept on applying for jobs, and I never got any. And you know, and it was quite devastating because they were jobs that I knew I had the skills for, I knew I had the best CV for, I knew I was overqualified, but I didn't get it. And it just, I didn't understand why. You know, I went for a job as a mediator, and someone with no tertiary qualifications got it. And I guess there's a series of, you know, that me sort of pursuing one area, even relationship, and it's just the wrong relationship, you know, but I just kept at it, thinking, oh, it's going to work. And even friendships, it doesn't have to be intimate, you know, pursuing. But this, you know, example of when I was working in the public sector, I guess looking back now, it was because I didn't believe in myself. I didn't believe that I was good enough to get that job or to hold that position. I had my self-doubt really shone through. You know, so that was I mean, I say the self-doubt, but it was also because my path was elsewhere.
Yeah.
You know, so then it's sort of, okay, well, I'm not getting anywhere here. Let's get, you know, into family mediation purely as a, you know, and stay there. And even that was, you know, it was really hard for me to become a family mediator, because at the time it was mainly judges, retired judges, who became mediators. And then they had the reputation, and they could charge thousands of dollars for a day, and people would. And so it was just hard. Who would give me a go? And how would I get myself out there? Then there were changes in the family law courts, which set up mediation centres all over Australia as a compulsory part of the family court process, where there are no safety concerns. And so suddenly there was an avenue for me to walk in almost. I had to retrain because you had to do a specific qualification. And even then, I knew that I could do it. I had mediated before. I had done my training at Harvard and worked in the district courts in Boston, or, you know, on a placement. I knew I could do it, but my, I guess, debilitating lack of self-worth, which I guess was seen as shyness.
Oh,
you know,
okay.
Being quite shy and not participating in you know, the class. There were about 20 of us, mainly women, studying to become family mediators.
Yeah.
And I saw everyone putting their hand up, so, you know, and they wanted to contribute.
Yeah.
And I knew what the answers were, but I just didn't contribute. And then I was actually told by my teacher that I was going to fail if I didn't pick up.
Oh,
and
wow.
I thought, oh my gosh, because I knew I was sort of the top of the class. And then, you know, we had to do a lot of practical work as part of the training, where you do mock mediations. And so as students in the class started working with me, because we would have two mediators working together at the same time, then I guess people started to see my worth.
Mm-hmm.
And so it changed my view of myself, because I started to see and hear it as well from other people.
Yeah.
And then, I think, oh, wow, I was so devastated when the teacher said, I think you're going to fail, when I ended up, even giving a presentation, giving a speech at that graduation.
Wow.
On behalf of the students. And, I am good at what I do. I can say that now. But at the time, I didn't believe it. And I was given evidence because I didn't believe it. I guess that's what I was putting out.
Yeah.
And that's what I got back from my teacher.
Yeah.
And then hearing that, I was like, what the hell are you talking about? This is my dream.
Right.
This is what I've wanted to do. I always wanted to work in family law.
Yeah.
And then when I got to law and heard about mediation, I thought, that's it, I've got to be a family mediator. So it was always in the back of my mind, and I was trying to get into it one way or another. This was my way in. And you're telling me I'm going to fail?
Wow.
So I showed him.
Yeah. But I guess it's the, from an intuition universe point of view, that was the nudge that you needed.
Yep. That's right. That's right. Because I did believe in myself. I just wasn't showing it. I guess I didn't have the opportunity because it wasn't the narrative that I had given myself, and wasn't what I had been used to and really in the realm of speaking up and speaking in public. Because in other areas I didn't have as big an issue. This was the issue for me.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. How interesting.
Yeah. And so now, like, I'm on the stage, I'm speaking.
Yeah.
And it's like I have two lives, like before and after. And there's sometimes people who are listening to me in interviews or on the stage or speaking or whatever, and they know the old Rosemary as well. And they're like, wow.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting? Wow. That was a very big nudge. So yeah, thank you to your, would you call him a teacher or a professor or?
Yeah.
He
was, well, I don't think he's a professor, but teacher.
Yeah. And thank goodness you took that on from a positive point of view, in a sense, because that could have completely floored you.
It could have crippled me and stopped me. But I guess what that really showed me is that my self-worth was actually much stronger than I realized.
And you thought, yeah.
I wasn't showing it in front of people because that was new for me, and that wasn't what I was used to doing.
Yeah.
Yet I was getting into an industry where my job is to talk.
Yeah.
And to talk to strangers who I just met, and on very intimate details or very personal, and, at quite challenging times.
Yeah, and to have to build a rapport very quickly with these people because you're helping them to mediate and to make sure that the child is looked after through this process as well. Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. Well, good on you for taking it and not letting it cripple you, but for, taking it and finding the good in it and then shining, because I think it's a beautiful story.
Yeah, thank you. And I was just so determined to become a family mediator and to get through that. I was like, that's it. I'm not stopping. And I think that's also where we know we're aligned with what we're doing, where we just feel like, no matter what, I'm going to keep going.
Yeah. And I think it's those moments also, I call it like holding on. Like, this is really, really what I want to do, and whatever's happening at the moment, I'm just going to hold on because I know that this is my path. I've had many moments like that, and I'm sure that moment as well for you was definitely I'm holding on because I know this is what I want to do.
Yeah. But I would also add that when I was studying law, I was certain in that moment that that's what I wanted to do. And even when I started doing it and had struggles, I was like, that's it, I'm going to finish. And maybe because I didn't know what else to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That determination in you. Yeah. And so has your path to pursuing your passion and purpose evolved over time? So I suppose it has, in a sense. I mean, you've nearly answered
Definitely.
that, haven't you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, it's, it went from having this urge to study family law and be a family lawyer. And even, I have a family friend who went through separation when I was about 14 or 13, and I was chatting with her, and she says it now, she's in her 70s now, and she always reminds me of that time that we were talking, and how even at that age she felt that I had supported her as a teenager through her separation. So she was like, this was what you're supposed to do.
Wow.
So yeah, so there were always hints of me, I guess, working with families and with people, and I guess in a crisis or healing sort of mode. But I either wasn't ready, or I didn't see it, or I didn't know how.
Yeah. Or all of the above.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it was like, going to become a family mediator, then getting through that training and realizing that actually I think it would be helpful if I'm also become a counselor. So I did the couples counseling and family therapy, did a placement there, and started, got the sense of what it's like to work with couples who do want to stay together, or who are trying to stay together, as opposed to the ones, who have come to the decision to separate. And that then got me really curious about human behavior. And so I started looking at, child development and childhood trauma, and not so much the trauma. The trauma sort of interested me, but it was more about healing, how to heal from the trauma.
Yeah.
And so that really got me onto a path where I was consistently attending conferences, workshops, anything, you name it, where I was the only one with a legal background in the room, with all the counselors and the psychologists. I rarely went to anything sort of family law directly related or law related, or it was, and even mediation, it was always that therapeutic sort of, exploring human behavior.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. And so where does the book come in through all of this?
Well, the book is really a merging of all these different parts of me, because I got to witness the way that people manage adversity as a mediator. Then I sort of put a layer of the counselling and, or not so much the counselling, but what I was learning about human behaviour and trauma and child development and healing, and sort of merged what I was seeing with what I was learning, to then propose this, trends, or look at the trends that I noticed in the way that people will either overcome their challenges or be overcome by them. And I also, was really interested in strengths-based theory and using a strengths-based approach. So that added another layer to what I was seeing. So it's really about putting all these layers together and then sort of interpreting the way people manage adversity through a strengths-based approach, and the reason, I guess, and the trauma that can contribute, the contributing factors to why we respond the way that we do.
Yeah. Wow. And is now that you're on your very strong book tour and you're talking about your book and sales are going really well, is there another book in you? Is it something that you would do again?
Yes, there's definitely. And I mean, I went from having a publishing contract to assisted self-publishing to full-blown self-publishing. And so I've learned a lot about the publishing process.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely happy to say that I would self-publish again.
Right.
And I've got a lot of ideas, because even, speaking to you and going on interviews and writing articles and things, it's helped my way of thinking. And so I've got new ideas that have come off that really stem from either the first book or other experiences as well. Like, I mean, at the moment, I'm, assisting my parents who are, elderly and at sort of the end of their life, sort of at that stage. And so I've learned a lot about being a carer. And so I think, I think I'm I think I've got enough to write a book about being a carer and supporting carers through the strengths-based approach, which again would be based on the strengths-based tool that I propose in my first book, how to support being a carer, using strengths.
I love that idea. And knowing the book and knowing a lot about you, I actually think that would be incredible. I think that would help a lot of people, because you're not a trained carer. You're just a carer because it's your parents, right? So, and your strength-based tool is incredible. So I could really see that working together. Fantastic. That's exciting.
Thank you. So that's one of many ideas. I don't know which is going to come first, but I think that one might, just because it's in the now. I don't know. I'll see.
Yeah. Okay. And so what practices or rituals do you incorporate into your daily life to stay grounded and focused? Is there certain things that just never get forgotten because it's really important to you for the day?
Yes. And the biggest one would be meditation or any kind of mindful practice. And it's really anything that helps to clear the clutter in my mind. And even if it's just for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And that's something that I've done consistently, because I notice that when I stop, I become more reactive and I can't juggle whatever I'm juggling or stay as balanced if I'm not meditating. And I mean, it could be a morning practice that I have where, I just imagine the sun rising and the sun's rays are just hitting me from my toes all the way to my head, and I'm being infused with whatever quality I want to call on for that day, whether or not it's strength or patience or kindness or love. And it's just, I'm being drenched in that by the sun. It could be moon, it could be water, whichever medium works for you.
Yeah.
And that's it can be very quick. You can take long. Sometimes if I've got a sore shoulder, I'll get the sun rays to stay on the shoulder, a little bit more, just to support so you can be a short one. It can be as long. And that's an easy thing to do every morning.
Yeah.
So that's, and then I do some walking meditations, and even just regular meditations. I guess the key for me is that I know I suffer when I don't meditate, so I have to do it.
Yeah.
But sometimes I get bored.
Yep.
And sometimes it's harder. Sometimes it'll be harder than other times. So, I say, well, how can I exercise non-judgment to myself in that process? And just take it as a sign that I need something else. So maybe the meditation that I have been doing for a month isn't working anymore, or it's too challenging, or whatever it is, my situation's changed. I need to adjust accordingly. Yeah. And it's like, because it's exercise for the brain, it can change the structure of the brain to make us, I guess, more emotionally regulated and able to reflect and undertake perspective taking. And then it'll tone down the parts of the brain that will then manage sort of anxiety and stress.
Yeah.
So it's like exercise. When you go to the gym or Pilates or whatever you do, at some point, if you do the same thing every day, you're going to get bored.
Yeah.
So you change it up, and it's exactly the same with a meditation or mindfulness practice.
Yeah. 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 And that's a really good point, because I think because from people who are really mindful and want to look after their well-being, we're constantly growing and changing and developing. So what worked for us a month ago doesn't necessarily work for us this month, because maybe our energy levels and our vibration is raised. So we actually need something different. Or it's just that, you've had a really big month, and so maybe it's something a little bit more gentler. So I think that's a really good point, because again, it's just that being kind to yourself and sort of listening into what's working for you. It's not about then abandoning everything. It's about, okay, well, this isn't working for me at the moment. What's the next thing that I can do? Yeah, great.
That's right.
Yeah, it's really good.
And even some kind of gratitude practice is also helpful, because that can just help be a reminder of the good in our life.
Yeah. And it's funny because I was just talking about this morning to someone and said that your gratitude practice doesn't have to be an hour long journaling. Like it can just
Mm,
be two or three things. And at the moment, I mean, you and I are both in Sydney. We know that far out, it's really cold here at the moment. It's only just the beginning of May. And it's a bit of
yeah,
a shock for us. So for me at night at the moment, I'm really grateful that I've got a really comfortable, warm bed to sleep in. You know,
yeah,
I'm so
yeah,
grateful for that. And sometimes that's what my gratitude is for the day. It doesn't have to be a list of 500,000 things.
yeah.
Sometimes it can just be one or two things
That's
that just
right.
shifts your energy and just makes you feel better.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. And if you can't do it every day, that's fine. You can do it whenever you can.
Yeah.
Put it in your diary or
Yeah.
anywhere, or just say it. Put it on a post-it note.
Yeah.
Whatever works.
Exactly. Yeah. So, what advice would you give to someone who is just starting to explore their true passion and purpose?
So a couple of things here. I think to listen to the signs that your body is giving you,
Mm-hmm.
because our body will tell us
Mm.
if, are we on the right track?
Mm.
Are we feeling heavy or are we feeling light? And it's fine if we're not on the right track or we don't know or we can't get the signs, um, because I think it'll just evolve.
Mm.
It'll evolve somewhere or another. And then we'll think, actually, when I was doing that, I was always worrying and I was always stressed or I was always comparing myself to someone else. Maybe that is a sign that, you know, I'm not on the right path or my focus is not where it should be. So I guess that's one. And then the other thing is then when we are on the right path, we are just so driven and feel determined that we just won't stop
Mm.
and we won't give up. And I think we also have to be ready for it as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like in my example with that teacher, if I wasn't ready, I could have shut down,
Yeah. Yeah.
but there was just, I think I was ready, but there was something inside me driving me to keep going.
Yeah.
And it's not logical
Mm-hmm.
because, my mother was a teacher, my father was a butcher, there's no family law or lawyer or anything, that would say, oh, okay, I'm taking after such and such or whatever. It's just completely different. It was just, I always had this thing about family law and working with families.
Yeah.
There's no logic. It's just, so that kept me going. And so, and again, that's about listening to ourselves, how we're feeling, because that will give us clues. And even if we miss it, we can reflect on it and learn for the future. And I guess the third point that I would say is to connect with people who can support you and help you,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
because we can't do everything ourselves and we don't know.
Yeah.
And I mean, we can ask ChatGPT a lot of things and they can help, but there's a lot of people who do like consultants in every sort of area that you can imagine,
Yeah.
that can help, that really shone through in my publishing journey. Self-published, did it myself and connected with people who could help me.
Yeah.
And also even the people who I connected with, if it didn't feel right or there's something just irking me about the way that they're working, that's a sign
Yeah.
they're not,
They're
and
not
that's
aligned.
fine. Maybe they're okay to work with other people, but for me,
Yep.
it's not for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's uh, I think when we're going to reach out and ask someone for support, we think, oh, they might be really busy or they mightn't have time. But I always then turn it back on myself of when someone calls me and says, hey, can I get your advice on this? Because that's what I'm thinking. I feel privileged because I think,
Yeah,
wow, they've called me and they've asked me for their support. So when
yeah,
I think, I always then turn it around and think, well, actually, if this person is really genuine and aligned to me, that's going to be the way that they feel as well if I'm asking for them for support.
that's right. And you raise a good point about just connecting with your current sort of circles. And even like I've actually connected with people on LinkedIn who might be, say, 2 or 3 years ahead of me in where I want to be.
Yep.
And then, you know, I started following them, connected with them, sent them a message, and then was able to then get some advice, or just, you know, who did you use for your publishing or for your book marketing, or do you have any advice? How did you get this set up? You know, things like that. So it's not, you know, you've got people that you can pay advice for, you've got AI that you can, and you've got networking. And yeah, I think LinkedIn is really good for that, because the intention is professional. Everyone is there for their work, to share what they do and what they know.
Yeah.
So you can find a lot of people on that network.
Yeah.
Who can then, and even if you just follow what they do, oh, this is what they've done. You don't have to connect with them.
Yeah.
It's just, oh, okay. Like, and that's what I did, you know. I saw someone, I thought, oh, he's going to this library, to that bookstore, and doing talks. And I'm like, okay, he's gone on this podcast. Okay, I'm just going to save that. And then I'm going to explore that and see, you know, what I can do in that area as well.
That's a great idea, because and you're right. I mean, if they didn't want this part of their journey to be shared, then they wouldn't put it on LinkedIn, right? So it's they're really doing it probably subconsciously as well, to share what they're doing, because they know that it will help others and inspire others.
Yeah. And I have been contacted myself by people, you know, asking about how do you become a mediator, how you do, you know, things like that as well. So
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. And you feel great, don't you? It's really lovely when someone reaches.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's nice then. It's almost that pay it forward, isn't it? Of you're following someone and inspiring them, they're inspiring you, and then that just has that ripple effect.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really beautiful.
Yeah.
So we actually only have a couple of minutes left already. I know, it sure does. It always does with us. So I'm going to ask you the same question that I will ask all of my guests before we finish our conversation. So what is one lesson or truth that you've learned on your journey that you wish you had known earlier?
Well, it would be to trust my intuition. You know, because part of that, as you know, I mentioned it, is that sometimes I didn't listen to it because I didn't know that's what it was.
Yeah.
And then I didn't listen to it, and I realized, oh, okay. So, but that's a challenge in itself, because it depends on where we're at, how balanced we are, how grounded we are.
Yeah.
As to whether or not we can hear it, or are we getting mixed up, mixing our intuition with our own judgment and fear of the situation.
Yeah. And so was it somebody that said to you, like pointed out, is that your intuition? Was it like a moment of someone saying, and then you thinking, oh, is that what that is? Or was it a learned thing over time that you'd heard the word, or?
Yeah, well, it was more the times when I had this strong judgment about a situation, called it intuition, but it was really a negative assumption or a negative judgment, or jumping to negative conclusions.
Yeah.
You know, and there was no evidence for it.
Right.
You know, and so I might say to a few people, oh, I think I better do this, because if I don't this, and they're like, what? Where did that come from? And I know that, you know, intuition can be like that, but this was just, these situations were really just layered in my fear of a scenario.
Yeah.
That if I didn't do this, X would happen, or that person must have said that about me, therefore I'm going to be pissed off about them. Yeah. I'm going to be disappointed. I'm going to be, you know, just starting a whole lot of anxiety in me based on a thought that I took to be intuition, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was my fear and judgment, a negative assumption, jumping to conclusions, that comes under that umbrella.
Yeah.
And often quite sequential, A, B, C, D. Then,
right. Equals E. And it's great that you had people that were around you that were honest and open to actually call that on you as well. Yeah. Because if they hadn't said anything, then it may have been a longer time for you to learn that.
My brother actually said to me, how can you say that? You studied law.
Right.
You know, because it was illogical. And even though I say intuition isn't logical.
Yeah.
But what I was saying was that there was no evidence.
Yeah.
And it was very sequential. This,
Yeah.
I better do, you know.
Oh, that's really good. Oh, that's really good. I love it. What a beautiful way to finish. So thank you for bringing such a beautiful energy to our conversation as always. I've really enjoyed listening to your perspective and learning more about why you followed your true north. So thank you so much for your honesty and your openness.
Oh, thank you, Megan. It's been great to connect with you and share. And yeah, I hope we can do this again.
Definitely, definitely. And I'd also like to thank all of our amazing and dedicated existing and new audience and supporters, and also to our sponsors. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the week, and I look forward to seeing you all again next week. Thank you so much. And Rosemary, we'll talk again soon.
Yes.
Thanks, everybody.